The Indian BrahMos missile is set to become China's biggest nightmare in the Indo-Pacific after Indian military won the 4-year-long LAC border standoff, forcing the Chinese PLA to retreat and pull back. Now the focus shifts to the South China Sea. According to latest reports, Indonesia could become just the second country to buy Indian ship-killer BrahMos missiles to guard against any Chinese expansionist threat. Philippines has already deployed the BrahMos missile amid escalating Chinese naval aggression. Now Indonesia is in advanced talks with the PM Modi government for the BrahMos missile. A deal for the missile could materialize during Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto's visit to India in January as the chief guest for the 2026 Republic Day parade. India is slowly but surely expanding its military footprint in the Indo-Pacific, a region which China considers its own backyard. Indonesia and China have long-standing dispute over Natuna Islands. While the Natuna are in Indonesia's exclusive economic zone, China simply does not recognize the EEZs of its ASEAN neighbors. Under President Prabowo Subianto, who was the former defense minister of Indonesia, the country is taking a more proactive stand and strengthening its security posture. Just a few days ago, Indonesian Navy claimed it drove away a Chinese Coast Guard vessel. This was the second such incident this month alone. But such escalations are common. Back in 2016, Indonesia fired at Chinese illegal fishing vessels and detained several of them, which were later sunk. Experts believe Chinese PLA is once again testing the resolve of Indonesian President Prabowo. But the CCP may have to pay dearly for its aggression, which is driving more ASEAN nations to seek closer ties with India, the other regional superpower and the only one capable of standing up to Chinese bullying. Prabowo had previously too shown keenness to purchase BrahMos missiles and a desire to bolster defense ties with India. Jakarta, aiming to safeguard its vast coastline, has already held discussions with New Delhi about BrahMos given its constrained budget to purchase the sought-after missile. However, according to Indonesian experts, the government may push for a higher defense budget eventually to accommodate its increasing security needs amid Chinese maritime incursions inside its exclusive economic zone. Experts are calling the potential BrahMos contract a game changer for the ties between the two Asian countries, as the latter is looking to procure low-cost but highly reliable military equipment. Professor A.B. Perwita from the Indonesian Defense University had observed, quote, India's large basket of world-class defense products and Indonesia's strategy to reduce its reliance on Western weapon systems is a recipe for deepening defense cooperation between the two Asian democracies, unquote. Other experts claim Indonesia may also push for India to set up an MRO or maintenance, repair and overhaul facility in the archipelago, thus ensuring Jakarta can keep its high-tech missiles functional at all times. During his tenure as the country's defense minister, Prabowo had declared after a meeting with Indian Ambassador Sandeep Chakravarti, quote, maintaining the harmony of bilateral relations and cooperation between Indonesia and India is a priority, and hopes to have further discussions to discuss efforts to strengthen mutually beneficial bilateral relations between the two countries, unquote. The archipelago nation might also seek a transfer of technology, however, that would also depend on a nod from Moscow, since the BrahMos is a joint Indo-Russian defense program. Jakarta has long sought the BrahMos missiles from India. Secretary General of the Indonesian Defense Ministry, Air Marshal Doni Taufanto, met Atul Rane, the chief of BrahMos Aerospace, earlier this year. But why the BrahMos? Why are more and more ASEAN nations seeking this Indian missile to guard against Chinese naval aggression? Now, first and foremost, Indonesia is desperate to guard its vast EEZ as it shares maritime boundaries with many countries including India, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, Australia, Palau, the Philippines, Timor-Leste and Papua New Guinea. Meanwhile, Chinese imaginary and illegal 9-dash line also infringes on Indonesian EEZ. Now, BrahMos is termed as a natural fit for Indonesia's military as it will fulfill the Navy's requirement for anti-ship missiles that once relied on Yakhont missiles, which were the export variant of the Russia's Onyx missiles. It is important to remember that BrahMos is an advanced version of the Onyx missile design. Surprisingly, in the past, Indonesia also deployed the Chinese C-705 and C-802 anti-ship missiles. However, relations between Indonesia and China have soured since then over Chinese naval incursions into its exclusive economic zone. China's imaginary and illegal 9-dash line in the South China Sea overlaps a significant portion of Indonesia's EEZ near the Natuna Islands, an area that contains some of the nation's most abundant fisheries and largest offshore natural gas reserves. BrahMos could not only be deployed on Natuna Islands but also on Indonesia's larger islands of Sumatra, Java, Borneo and Sulawesi to protect against any external actors. Now, the BrahMos itself are among the world's fastest missiles at almost 3 times the speed of sound, making them almost impossible to intercept at ranges up to 300 kilometers. It carries the dual role of capability for land as well as anti-ship attacks and works both day and night irrespective of weather conditions. It also operates on the fire and forget principle that does not require further guidance after launch. Stealth features, sea skimming technology and internal guidance systems make the BrahMos a formidable weapon. According to internal simulations carried out by the Indian military, a salvo of just 3 BrahMos missiles can sink even the biggest Chinese aircraft carriers. With a sizable warhead, even one successful strike on a carrier could cause catastrophic damage. India's successful completion of delivery of multiple batteries of the BrahMos supersonic missile to the Philippines also gives confidence to other ASEAN nations of India being a reliable source for high-tech defense equipment. Let's keep in mind that India is also engaging in proactive defense diplomacy and Act East policy as a response to China's naval incursions in the Indian Ocean region, and also China's attempted salami slicing along the LAC border. So the big question remains, should India help boost defense capabilities of ASEAN nations to face any Chinese expansionist threat? Leave a comment with your opinion and subscribe to Inconnect News for more defense updates and geopolitics.